This is day 1251. Murdered, well, I would say forced removal, missing, murdered. Richard Halliday retaliated against. I mean, what they did to him, he was, in the middle of just terrible, terrible corruption. And he's still there. He's still in the middle of this terrible corruption. Even though they took his life, now they want to take his identity, and they took his identity, and we have proof that they took his identity. And let's go on Facebook um, and there is proofs of the pattern of interference in everything, and theft, just theft of, if you can steal someone's name and social security number, especially the social security number. I mean, at this point, from what I know, I'm like, why do we have social security numbers? I don't know. I don't know. Because there's so much fraud. Um, because, Richard is being re-registered. His social security number is being used as active, even from June, I think June of 2023. Um, so there's no protection. It's it's just terrible, and we're almost at $34 trillion in debt. We spend so much money in law enforcement. We have the IRS, we have everything, and we give them everything. We give the military everything. They're so top heavy, 44 four-star generals and admirals. Um, what I'm about to tell you, it's just crazy, and I'm so sorry that I'm coming on so late. It's just terrible. But it had to be done because of what everything takes time. Everything takes time, because we have a public integrity problem. Um, and what do I mean by that? I mean going to the public integrity unit, to tell them about the problem that we're having against legally mandated responses, for information. And even with that kind of sabotage, we have still um, received information, through our many contacts, in the institutions. Thank you, God, for that. That has uh, given us confirmation that Richard's identity has been stolen, was stolen, is still being used, And there's more. There's so much more. And when we get confirmation of all of that, we will let you know. The Some of the information that we have, we cannot post. We cannot, as transparent as we are. There are some things that we have to keep for the court, for when because we have submitted two now, um, notices of intent for legal action to sue. We have done that. So, for 3 years, um, we have just been gathering evidence and evidence and evidence. And then what you have to do is you have to sort it all out, right? You have to have your hard evidence, you have to have your irregularities, you have to have your circumstantial evidence, And you have to sort it all out, and you have to make sense, you have to piece it all together, and you have to see where it points to what is going on. And it really has pointed to the media interfering in Richard's case. Okay. um, El Paso Matters has absolutely interfered in Richard's case with an unreliable source, Leilani Hart. That is uh, really huge, because if they wouldn't have done that, we would, I believe, the whole case would be solved by now. We would have our son's remains, and we would have the perpetrators, um, behind bars, at least behind bars. And but they're they are willing to break the law, to even act politically, violating the 501c3 of El Paso Matters, in order to sabotage Richard's case from going forward. And it's not just El Paso Matters. There's a group of people that don't want Richard's case going forward, because it connects the perpetrators to the Walmart case also. The August 3rd, which is Dallas Hart's birthday, okay, 2019, Walmart mass shooting case. Those perpetrators, um, it connects those. When you solve Richard's case, you will get the perpetrators of a mass shooting. Okay? I think it's the sixth largest mass shooting in U.S. history. And I think it's number one when it comes to having the perpetrators still walking around, not arrested, or, one arrested or whatever. Well, um, we still are trying to figure out what happened on that day. And I found a team, find Richard Halliday, amazing team, found an article that just gives us so much information that we don't find in a lot of other media outlets. And so if we can solve El Paso Walmart mass shooting, which everybody wants to solve that, nobody wants to allow mass shooters to roam free, right? To roam, to get away with it and then want to do it again, right? Nobody wants that. And this article is from Medium. It's called Medium. And the title of it is Inconvenient Questions: What Really Happened in El Paso. 1 year after the devastating mass shooting at an El Paso Walmart, basic questions remain unanswered. And so I just want to say thank you so much to this writer, because this and we're still trying to absorb everything in this article, really, to understand what happened on that day, and because to understand what happened on the mass shooting, then we'll understand what happened to Richard. And we know that they're connected. We have hard evidence that they're connected. Bliss Avenue connects them. Bliss Avenue, Bliss Avenue, Bliss Avenue connects them. And I would even say Van Buren Avenue too. Van Buren, Bliss Avenue. And we absolutely, for any naysayer, I want to tell you what it's looking like, because of Richard's identity being stolen, and still is being stolen and still being used. And fake names appointed to it, and and they think it's funny, I guess. I don't know. But in this article, there is another dead soldier, and it is just so criminal, so criminal because um, the smear campaign that they did against Richard, um, I would say, and the smear campaign that they did against Team Farm Richard Halliday is, uh, do I want to say it's smaller or not as vicious as what they did to this soldier on Fort Bliss that was there in the mall? And let me read it to you. Well, what this article does is it absolutely gives you names of witnesses, and the witnesses saying that there were multiple shooters, not one, not two, multiple shooters that killed. And not only that, but that they were not only in the Walmart, but they were also in the mall, and they might have been outside, and that the victims, the people that were in that area, they didn't know where to run because there seemed to be shooters out in the parking lot, shooters at the mall, and shooters at Walmart. And so there was confusion, and the El Paso Police Department said that there were multiple shooters, reports of multiple shooters. And so and this all was being buried, and they don't want it to come to light, because I believe it's very political. They're doing something here. This is like a hit on the entire El Paso, the surrounding area into Juarez, Mexico, because this absolutely um, included some Mexican nationals and also a German national, right? A German national, um, Hofmann, right? Hofmann. Um, so this is it is an attack on the peace of the people, for political reasons, because something is very fishy here. It's like with Richard's case. It's fishy. It doesn't make sense. And even, to put it on Crucius. And I wanted to mention something about Patrick Crucius that was brought to my attention today that I thought was really important, because I know they're absolutely 100% right. And I'm glad that this person jogged my memory, because I know they're 100% right. And what I said when I saw the pictures of Crucius, Patrick Wood Crucius, who they claim is this lone wolf shooter, which we know is absolutely a ridiculous narrative. At this point, it's an absolutely ridiculous narrative when you read the Medium, this article that gives you proof, that gives you names. It gives you names. It doesn't just, it gives you maps. It talks about this soldier that is now dead, right? He's a witness and now he's dead. The police chief, and I believe he has passed away now too. Um, there's just a lot of information in this, and I hope that I'm not talking in circles. I want to do the best that I can in getting this information out to the public so they understand it. And the best way is to post the article. The second best way is to uh, point out the main um, information that's coming from this article, and that is that there are multiple witnesses that say there's multiple shooters. All right. Which goes against when you have a German national, right, um, being shot and killed. Uh, it goes against the narrative that this was a racist attack, that this was an attack by, a political side. Okay. I think it was political, but let's find out who these people were to get the real answer, because I'm not going to tell you that I know the answer to why they did this. But, absolutely, it is a group of people that have an agenda, and that makes it political. So, and when we find out who the people are that want to pin it on Patrick Crusius, which, I got diverted a little bit, but let's talk about Patrick Crusius, because those pictures that I saw of him, I absolutely thought, okay, he's something is not right. He's disabled. Okay. And with my experience in education, I said, to me, I'm trained, I'm professionally trained to, assess children, assess people, and their learning abilities. And I thought, okay, he's autistic. He's autistic. That is my suspicion. So I would test him. I would test him to see if he was um, autistic. And in this case, we just asked the right people, the institutional people that we do have help with, that do want to get to the bottom of all of this. And we have it confirmed, absolutely confirmed. And it's also in some of the articles, because that I have found, that I've read through, but that Patrick Crusius is on the spectrum, that he is autistic. And, so the first thing that I did when you have, um, as someone that's autistic, because I know the parents, they're the only parents I've ever met more than anybody else, unless it was some kind of health disability, you know, uh, but, uh, you know, even Down syndrome parents do not beg for help like autistic parents do. Autistic parents, they want help for their children, and they ask for it because they have been through so much. It is so difficult. Their children need so much help. And so, we have so many programs now for autistic individuals because there is a need for it. There's a huge need for it. So, and I know that. And the first thing that I would do would be to look at the schools and the universities. Um, where are the programs for autistic individuals, and who's in charge of them? And so we have gotten results back on that, and um, I'm going to talk to Team Find Richard Halliday to see if I can release those at this time, because I think that they're very telling. And when you look on the internet and you do your research of what is happening, the military has been putting a lot of effort into trying to open up the doors for recruitment for autistic individuals. Now, I believe that is a huge mistake. Absolutely huge mistake. You cannot, um, I'm sorry, you cannot put weapons in the hands of somebody that needs help. And it depends on where they're at on the spectrum, right? Where they're at. But still, for military, when you're talking about military, there are other other problems to consider. And the other problem, you know, my experience with autistic individuals educating, you know, they can absolutely live a normal, healthy life, right? Depending on where on the spectrum they are. But, you know, they have an aggression problem, okay? Uh, you know, and they also are very, very sensitive to noise. And this is what was brought to my attention today. And I thank Team Find Richard Halliday so much for that information, that um, uh, very, very important information. Because if you look at the picture of Crucius, let me see if I can open that up. Yeah, right here. If you see the picture of Crucius, he's wearing hearing mufflers, right? Um, his, you know, he's not wearing a mask, whereas the victims, some of the victims said, my shooter was wearing a mask. I couldn't see his face. Okay. But he is wearing hearing protection. And that is another indication, um, or another proof, because we already have confirmation that he's on the spectrum, which is another, you know, because autism has different um, levels. And, you know, so they call it the spectrum, right? Where are you on the spectrum? You're autistic, but where are you on the spectrum? So it's even called the autism spectrum disorder. And, you know, but this is another thing to be aware of, that when you have autism, you're very sensitive to noises. And so, you know, if he's going to go and shoot, or uh, whatever, whatever part he took, because this is so crazy that you know, and you can, there's another indication that he just goes up to the cops and say, "Oh yeah, here I am. I was one of the shooters," or I'm the shooter." You know, um, who does that? You know, who does that? And so this is that the military has this need for recruits, that the military is entertaining the idea of accepting autistic individuals to be recruited into our military, for our military to be so top heavy with 44 four-star generals and admirals, and yet they can't even, every program, you have to understand, every program in the military is a failed program. We have 44 four-star generals and admirals, right? And they can't even do it. They can't even get it together. Um, or they are doing what they're supposed to do, and that is betraying us, betraying their duty, because that's exactly what they've been doing. So you have 44 four-star generals and admirals. The admirals were the ones over these minors, right? These children on Fort Bliss, 85,000 unaccounted for. 85,000? And the numbers for 2023 are supposed to be staggering. I'm hearing they are staggering. And what that means is that all the other children in the El Paso area also are not being cared for properly, because then there's a huge need for childcare, and they don't have the childcare workers, and then they can't vet the childcare workers, and we have proof that they weren't vetting the childcare workers, and that is concerning, because then you have heart childcare. How could the Harts, with what Leilani, true or not, but um, Leilani Hart put in a criminal complaint about her family involved in child pornography, which is child torture, that multiple members of her family sexually assaulted a 7-year old in her master bedroom. That was the child of an active duty soldier. That her family was engaged in incest, right? Um, you know, bought weapons illegally, okay? And that was accepted by the FBI, that criminal complaint that was notarized. And they have Hart Daycare. And she's a convicted criminal. Okay, you could say, oh, well, she didn't put that in until after. But she was a convicted criminal with mental health issues that the judge was saying she needs to be evaluated on. And, so what I'm saying is they were not being vetted. The child care workers were not being vetted. And we have even more proof than that. But that's a good example that this case has exposed, and what is so wrong with the leadership. Because the generals, they do not, why is Richard's Social Security number still being used? What's going on at the Veterans Affairs? What's going on with this general to not protect Richard? Right? The Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier. It's another kick in the teeth to the Vanessa Guillen name, to the Vanessa Guillen memory, for all the work that all of the team Vanessa Guillen has put in to trying to make things better for our service members. And the generals just kick them right in the teeth with how they respond. And we have a suicide problem. We have a sexual assault problem. We have a drug problem. We have a sex cult problem. We have, a weapons, smuggling problem. We have a child pornography problem. And these generals were so top heavy. And, when I say we're top heavy, I mean it. During World War II, we had 10 times the size of a military than what we have right now. 10 times the size of it. Yet we only had 7 4-star generals and admirals. 7 4-star billets, the military calls it. Right now, we have a tenth of the size, and we have 44 failed leadership 4-star generals and admirals that are serving. There's no other way to put this, because they have so much more money, so much more help from us, and they are a failure. It's failed leadership in every program. And now they want to introduce a program for autistic individuals, and they have a record of total failure on everything else. They can't even find a missing soldier that was forcibly removed from his barracks room on Fort Bliss, on a secure military base. They can't even investigate. They have to tell the family that you need to be the chief investigators. You need to bring us leads. They need to participate in, and they absolutely have, the sabotage of Richard's case in crimes against humanity. And yet we want to give our most valuable assets, our sons and daughters, be them with autism or not. They are our most valuable assets, our sons and daughters. And they want to take our autistic sons and daughters and put them in a uniform and give them a gun, put them in a program, and every program their record is total failure. I mean, they left, and I don't think they left. I mean, they left it. They left all the weapons. They left our night vision technology, our goggles, our night vision goggles. Loads of them in Afghanistan. I don't think so. I think that they, this is my opinion now, but I think that they were smuggling there too. They're using taxpayers' money to ship all of this stuff over to this country. And then they say, oh, yeah, we're protecting this country. But all along, they're selling all of our stuff and pocketing the money. I mean, I would like to know, because why did Mealy have such a hard time putting 2 plus 2 together in his brain to try to save the military ammunition and weapons and huge equipment and vehicles? No, he didn't have them to save. That's my opinion. And it was all, you know, staged. Oh, we can't bring them back. Why can't we bring them back? Why can't we bring our equipment back? We took it over there. What did you do with that equipment? Is that some more, you know, for the audit, for the failed audits? Because even the audits are failures, trillions of dollars. This is, I think that the the fraud, waste, and abuse is at the highest levels. Very profitable, and on the backs of the American people. And what they're doing is not making the world a better place at all. And I think that Richard saw this fraud, waste, and abuse, and he's a army brat. I mean, if you're an army brat, you know all about, you see something, you say something, fraud, waste, and abuse, fraud, waste, and abuse. Can't have fraud, waste, and abuse. Okay, so we're trying to teach our children that. See something, say something, and don't have any fraud, waste, and abuse. You can't do that. You can't treat our country like that. And so he gets in there and he's saying fraud, waste, and abuse. He's saying the stealing of identity, the outright normalization of theft, and it's so profitable, and then people are willing to kill for it. Oh, you're a whistleblower. You're a whistleblower. Well, um, don't you look into the future? We've been told that the word stupid is such a bad word. I don't think it's a bad word. Stupid means that you don't look into the future. And I think it's really stupid to normalize theft, to normalize embezzlement, to normalize fraud, waste, and abuse, to think it's okay, that everyone can do it. Everyone can do it, and we can be okay in the future. No, they don't even think about the future. They're stupid. Stupid means you're stooped. You're, like you have a wall up. You're not even looking into the ramifications, the consequences of your actions. And so, the legally mandated responses that we should get to know exactly what Richard was reported will let us know that. But from what we know already from um, our circle of information that we have, it absolutely has to do with tampering with files, tampering with files, absolutely, to perpetrate fraud, waste, and abuse, and to profit off of it. So these are patterns of interference with our son's case, with the process of the military, the duty of the military. Because you see, the fraud, waste, and abuse, it interferes in the defense of our Constitution, of our country, of progress that we make in our country. Absolutely just destroys um, our free time, right? Because we're so busy working, because we have all this debt, we have the big taxes, we this because we're going to have to pay on this debt, um, and with the interest rates, and people have felt the pinch, and I don't even think that the pinch has even started yet. You know, the ramifications are not here because they're still printing money like crazy. So the money is still, flowing. But when once the value of it goes down, and you have more inflation, and other countries don't want the dollar because it has no value, then we're really going to feel the pinch, and they'll probably try to go to some kind of other money, try to go to some digital thing, or because what is money, right? What is money? And they'll try to redefine it, um, and we'll see. And there will be more murders, because where there's fraud, waste, and abuse, and the tampering of documents, and people's names and identities, and mega fraud just to sustain themselves, and then you know there's just going to be more crime. That's not calculus, that's not rocket science. That's pretty easy to understand, that where there is more crime, where there is more greed, where there is um, more thieving, right? Stealing from other people, you're going to have a lot of upset people, and then you're going to have more crime. So, um, this whole, and why am I talking this way? Because I think that um, the whole Walmart agenda, why they wanted this August 3rd, which is Dallas Hart's birthday, August 3rd, 2019 event to happen, was because of greed and power. And, I don't know exactly, but, if I was going to, try to guess the beans in the bottle, I would say it was for, um, absolutely follow the money to get the power. Absolutely. And so they're willing to maintain their power. Maybe that's what it was. To maintain their power, they're willing to kill people to make them afraid. And we saw this with the COVID. Um, I'm very fortunate to be married to a PA. Um, always in the medical field. I'm not medical myself, but um, when all that came out, and the very first thing was, let's look at this virus. And um, what we soon found out was you couldn't even get the virus. You couldn't even get it. You couldn't get a picture of it. Everything was CGI. Everything was manufactured. And then you look at other, uh, you ask for other viruses. Hey, let's look at other Let's see if we can get other viruses, right? Just to look at, what's going on. What is it? I want to see it. You couldn't see it. Nobody could get it. Nobody could even it makes you wonder, what is the chickenpox? What is, any of these things, because it, it seems that um, it's just theory, and I'm not going to uproot the whole economy of the world on a theory, on the germ theory. And now, and I said it for a long time, the germ theory is trash because there's no proof. And it's, interesting that uh, there are those that want proof in this case for everything that Team Fine Richard Halliday is saying, which is good and right. Okay, great, fine. But, you need to use that same energy, that same questioning for the Walmart case. Where's the proof? Where's the proof? Because the proof that I'm seeing is in this one article with the naming of witnesses and, maps. Let's put this on here again. The maps that there was shooting at the mall and in the parking lot, and here's this Walmart, and it's very fascinating. And then, okay, let's talk about Private Oakley, who is no longer with us. He lost his life. Did he get shot by one of the shooters? No. He died months later. He was a witness that videotaped. A witness that videotaped. Where's the videotape? Let's talk about proof. We want to see the proof. This is our country. El Pasoans should say, absolutely, we want to see the proof. And this was near Dillard's. Okay? So that just blows apart the whole Patrick Crusius, the lone wolf shooter narrative. Just blows it apart. And, it's so, because we've had to blow apart the narratives about Richard. The narratives of very false, smearing narratives that was given to the law enforcement community so that they would have no incentive to look for Richard. And then also to read what this Private Oakley went through, because they did a smear campaign on him and they harassed him just like they have with us. And, here he was, this nice looking man here. Here he is on Fort Bliss. You would think that they would protect him, that they would move him out of that area. Give him a different duty station. Get him out of the military. Give him a discharge. If he's under that much hate, and he was. So, the military can't even protect their service members. The 44 four-star generals, and really General Mealy, General McConville, and then all these flag officers. I can name a host of flag officers, but these 44 four-star generals and admirals, they are total failures. Absolutely. And I just heard two gunshots, and a whole bunch of people just started running around screaming. Employees at the Foot Locker lowered the security cage over the storefront, he told CBS. I started trying to grab kids and bring them to safety because I thought a stray bullet could fly by. Um, I grabbed all the babies. They were so scared. I can't even imagine. I go through this, and um, I can't even imagine the horror. The horror. And to know that they're trying to keep this case, and let's talk about that now. Who's trying to keep this case from moving forward? Who is allegedly, intentionally sabotaging this case? And could he be intentionally sabotaging Richard's case? And I believe so. I believe so. And I have a lot of homework in front of me that I did with Team Find Richard Halliday. And, John Briggs, the assistant district attorney, their point, even his supervisor, his direct supervisor, is pointing fingers at him. Yvonne Rosales even fired him, and that same time they went against her. Um, uh, you know, Loretta Lynn Hewitt points her finger at John Briggs. John Briggs absolutely needs to be investigated. Okay? Because there's too many witnesses pointing to him. And he's been there. He was there uh, at the time of the Walmart case with Jaime Esparza, when Jaime Esparza was a DA. He was the assistant, John Briggs was the assistant district attorney when Yvonne Rosales became district attorney. And she was saying that she's being blocked. She's being blocked from the case. Um, there was another murder case with a death penalty that was sabotaged. And who was over that case? John Briggs. John Briggs was. So, it seems like he tries to control things. Um, he's like the man behind the curtain, and he just puts up a front, like Yvonne Rosales, like Loretta Lynn Hewitt, like Bill Hicks, and he's the one in the background really doing, the sabotaging. So even though we have confirmation that Bill Hicks is being investigated, and I just want to know, is John Briggs being investigated? Because John Briggs has been there with Jaime, with Yvonne, with Bill. He's been there. And these cases, um, it's kind of like the generals. It just seems like failed cases here when it comes to the Walmart, when it comes to Richards, when it comes to another death penalty case. I'm still trying to learn about it, but it was a brutal murder case, knifing. And, how did that get so botched? you know, when it's led by this prosecutor, John Briggs, that, it seems to always be there. Yeah. Um, I think that is really interesting why the Walmart case, why this article, that give me another day to really read through it. And, um, J.C. Penney employee, he's over here in Dillard's. And then, oh, he's in Dillard's again, another person. Um, then the one father didn't even want to go outside because he thought there was a shooter outside in the parking lot. Um, so yeah, I put up this article uh, for your help. Read through it. Maybe it'll jog your memory, um, and we can get to the bottom of this case, because if we get to the bottom of the Walmart mass shooting case, we will absolutely know who the perpetrators are, who murdered Richard. Okay, that's my belief, and I have lots of evidence that corroborate that. And, just the fact that there's so much fraud, waste, and abuse, so much. Um, where's the El Paso Police Department? I'm rolling through this because there's so much information, and the El Paso Police, they got rid of the video. Maybe that was Oakley's video that they got rid of. I don't know. I have to look. Um, but even the El Paso Police Department was saying, yeah, scene is still active. We have multiple reports of multiple shooters. Okay, please avoid the area. Multiple reports of multiple shooters. Let me show you that in the display. So here it is. The El Paso Police Department at EP Police. Scene is still active. We have multiple reports of multiple shooters. Not a report of multiple shooters. No, multiple reports of multiple shooters. Um, so, yeah, I think that is at 11:11 p.m. On the 3rd of August, which is Dallas Hart's birthday in 2019. This was on the Twitter. So 11:11, right? 11 o'clock is when the shooting started. So this is very soon after that. Um, yeah, I think that is really important information. Again, that Oakley is no longer with us. That yeah, actual eyewitnesses like Quisada, Oakley, Zavala, and others. He names names, and I think that this is really important for everyone to read this article. Yeah, this Anna, oh, I have to show you this one too. This is something else. According to my law enforcement source in El Paso, who gave me the apprehended shooter's name and age, a second suspect was killed when police responded to the Walmart shooting. Police have not disclosed this information yet. Mayor says otherwise, but my source says second suspect is dead. Um, yeah, that is, oh my God. Yeah, so here it is. Finally, the final update. El Paso told me second shooter suspect was killed. Official just told me police detained an armed man at Walmart they thought was an accomplice. The person was cleared and released, not wounded. Not clear why he was marked dead. Um, yeah, this is so. I hope that you read through this, and I need another day to kind of read through. Oh, yeah, green or light green shirt and beige pants. In the gunman, one gunman is said to have jeans on, um, or all in black. Sorry, all in black. Um, Maybe that's black jeans. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, multiple witnesses, multiple shooters. It's I cannot believe that our district attorney office is absolutely can't get behind this and give us justice in this Walmart case. I just can't believe it. Why are they allowing this to be sabotaged? You know, to me, the only answer is that there's some kind of political agenda, and the real perpetrators, you don't want to get near them. You don't want to get near, and the more investigating we do, the more the real perpetrators come up out, because the real perpetrators against Richard, too, is the media, is the leadership in the military, the um, higher leadership, and also this group uh, that are connected with law enforcement. Okay, with Bliss Avenue, these absolutely, it's like they're pros at tampering with government records, with with any kind of record. If it meets their needs, they're going to tamper and lie and um, yeah, manufacture and everything. So that and I do still have news coming out about Veronica Escobar, because she's another leg on this table. And you know, yeah, it's just so much information coming out. It's 100 miles an hour, and every day we get closer and closer. But this is about two dead soldiers. Okay, Oakley is he's no longer. Why isn't he here with us? And the failure to secure our service members, right? Because you know, Private Oakley was a whistleblower. Richard was a whistleblower. Why he was not reassigned? Why Richard wasn't reassigned? Why was Clem Coward allowed as a general to retaliate to, I believe it was him that helped conduct, it was part of this code red on Richard. Okay. I mean, it was others, but absolutely he knew about it. Absolutely. There's not a doubt in my mind. He gave Richard a permanent Gomar, and was chaptering him. And then now they have to sanitize that. It's like Roddick, Lieutenant Colonel Roddick. There's some bad apples in this. And why the generals want to keep those bad apples, why they didn't notify us, work with us, and John Briggs. If John Briggs had anything to do with Richard's case, and I believe he did, why are they doing things behind our back? Because we have reports that there were plea deals. Why are they doing things behind our back? And why don't they answer the open records requests that we have that are legally mandated responses. And now we have to go and act upon these crimes because they're hiding other crimes. They're just totally criminal syndicates. That's what they are. It's just crime upon crime upon crime. And they're destroying so many people's lives because then they take their children, and they groom them. They groom them into this. And so many people get hurt. And then they add the sex cult stuff in it, and the pedophilia, and the child pornography, which is child torture. It just gets worse and worse and worse. And 85,000 unaccounted for minors because they're doing child sex trafficking. They're doing, they need workers, and they want workers that are young, full of vim and vigor. And the military now wants to take our sons and daughters that are on the spectrum and recruit them into the military. And they have these programs. And what did that program have to do with Patrick Crusius? And what did that program have to do with the Walmart mass shooting? Because Fort Bliss was there. Fort Bliss, we have pictures. Fort Bliss was there at the mass shooting. Why? Why was Fort Bliss there? People can say all kinds of things, but watch those videos and watch those pictures, and you're going like, that's creepy. There wasn't like liaisons there. They were decked out. And I don't think that's their job. My son is high functioning mild autism, but still I would not allow him to be in the military. Thank you, Mitzi. No, and thank you so much for that, Mitzi. It's, you don't put females in a barracks where they are so outnumbered. At minimum, it's 9-1. Okay? At minimum. And not expect sexual harassment and sexual assault. Especially when you're allowing the parties, bringing in the party girls that are bringing in the drugs. Absolutely, I have that. I've been told that over and over again, and that the barracks are marketplaces for the illegal drugs, are all over the place, and that they have all kinds of harassment, not just sexual harassment. And that is not any slight to women at all. It's love for women. Why would I want any female service member to be raped in the barracks, to be sexually harassed? I mean, that's what led to what happened to Vanessa Guillen. Right? Is sexual harassment. So, yeah, that's so for my students that I've taught, for my friends' children that I know that are on the spectrum, I would never want to put them in a situation where they're going to be used. Used for no good. They absolutely can have a very important function in our society, but not in a military that has one failed program after the next. and to me does not respect the lives of our service members. Not at all. Look at what they've allowed them, what we have been put through, and our generals allowed it. They allowed the CID to treat us like they did. They allowed Richard to be dismembered. They allowed our open records not to be answered. I mean, Judge Robert Shook of the JAG, a colonel, he could and should have been made to answer those autopsy questions. And also the illegal search on our home by the Fugitive Apprehension Unit that I think got $15,000 for putting on that little show to intimidate us, or to, oh yeah, we're really looking for your son, even though they already found him, right? I mean, this was, if if they're just treating everyone so badly, everybody. Heck no, I'm not going to give them my child um, with autism, right? On the spectrum. No way. Get away. Go away. You can't even win a war. You can't even protect us. We have 14,000 people coming over the border. You're not even vetting them. And, go away. Get out of those uniforms. Get out of those stars. I don't want to pay you another dime, another penny, nothing. You're a waste of money. Yeah, that's how I feel. For good reason. And the media, too. They're just parrots that are up to no good. Bok, 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 bok. That's all they do. And try to make us afraid. And try to make us not like each other. So, yeah. I and they allowed the harassment. There's so many people that harass us that need to be arrested. Absolutely arrested. So, yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. And right now, the big thing is 23 victims in the Walmart case that might not get justice. And Richard, I count him as the 24th, and Oakley, I count him as the 25th victim. And, the police captain, right? The police chief, sorry, he might be the 26th. Why? I think that was too young. What's going on there? And I absolutely have no doubt in my mind that the perpetrators are willing to kill for their power and money. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. To maintain their power or get into power, whoever they may be, to keep that money coming in from the fraud, waste, and abuse. The gravy train of the fraud, waste, and abuse, where they steal identity, steal social security numbers, tamper with all kinds of records, and yeah, that's their business plan. And they don't care who they hurt. So, thank you so much, and I'll be back tomorrow. Uh, please share. Please share all this information, and call. I think it would be really great for a lot of open records requests to go into the DA's office there at El Paso, to go into the Fort Bliss JAG, to the Fort Bliss agencies, the CID, open records to UTEP, to Park University, to El Paso Matters, wherever they are public public funds, you can ask to see where your money's going, and I think that that's really really important to know how the money is being spent, and yeah, they need to. What I think that would do is they're so used to getting away with their fraud, waste, and abuse, whoever is doing it. And for us to ask for open records, I think is a great oversight. I think a lot of lives will be saved if we start asking to see where the money is being spent and, who's doing what, who's communicating with who. Who's communicating with El Paso Matters? Who's communicating with Bob Moore? Who's communicating with um, Kacherga? I'd like to know who's communicating and what they're communicating. Because if false narrative smear campaigns are going to sabotage soldiers and service members and Oakley, who's leaking about what Oakley had? And I'm going to tell you right now, his social security number has been stolen also. His this is breaking news. And we have confirmation that Private Oakley's social security number is still in use. That 4 times. Yeah, he's living in 4 different places right now, or 5 different places. I'm sorry, he's deceased. No, 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 no. His social security number is being used. He's deceased, but his social security number is alive and well and being used and abused. So I think that is really a lot to absorb. And I just thank you all so much. And we will be back tomorrow. Um, God bless you for staying on for so late. Here we are, 1:14 a.m. in the morning. Um, so thank you. Thank you for giving us your time and your love and your prayers. Okay, everyone.